Hey friends, it's Nips and I'm back, question mark, I don't know. For those of you that don't know, I am an artist that goes by ONips online, and I have a pretty problematic track record, pretty to put it lightly. Every scandal under the sun I probably have. And so I'm making this video because several reasons, but if you didn't know, back in July I deleted my socials, my Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and I left my Twitch because fans asked me to keep it up for the emotes, and then my Discord server, I went ahead and I gave it to someone else and then left. And I deleted my ArtStation, my DeviantArt, everything. And the reason that I'm here is to not only talk about why I left and what I've thought about while I was gone. And a lot of these thoughts, listen, a lot of these thoughts did not happen like entirely during the time that I was gone, because I haven't really been gone that long. July till like October, really, like the beginning of October, because I started coming back, I'd say like a month ago, where I started streaming on Twitch again. I remade my socials, even my comic socials, which I had deleted initially as well, so I remade those. And even the YouTube channel that you're seeing this on right now is brand new. So but just some thoughts that I've had over the course of the last couple years, and just to talk about my controversies as well, because I don't think I've ever really sat down to talk about them. And so I also want to preface this with, this isn't, I do have my iPad here, by the way, with like notes and an outline, excuse me, and just some sources that I want to show you guys. So I have filmed this video like 800 times in the last couple days. I cannot get a cut that is shorter than like 40 minutes, and my best one was an hour and 40 minutes long. That was the one I was going to hit publish on, and then I slept on it, and I found that it could have just been worded so much better, and there were some things that I brushed up on that I didn't like, brushed over, that I didn't really like. And I won't be editing this, so hopefully, like, please be lenient if I'm not a very eloquent person. I do tend to ramble as well, and so I'm gonna do my best to phrase things as concisely and appropriately and as accurately as possible. But yeah, and I also know that I'm on the floor with a hoodie. Like, it's like I look like a meme right now at this point, but I'm in the middle of a move right now, and this is the only room in the house where it blocks off most of the noise, and it has pretty decent lighting with a desk lamp shining on me right now. So I do apologize for the setting as well. So I want to also emphasize that this is not, I don't want this video to be a pity party. This video, because I've never really done it with almost any controversy, I have done like once or twice where I'll like upload a really unfiltered, unedited video of me just talking and venting, and then I'll just take it down. But I've never really sat down to talk about pretty much anything. And because there's so many of them, this video is bound to inevitably be pretty long. But I don't want this to be a pity party. If I share my thought process at the time and just my character and personality traits, it's more so to just give you some glasses of perspective to understand why I did what I did and how I got from that point A to like now point B. And no one is saying that I'm like, my journey is done, point A, point B. Like, the journey continues, and like, you know, I can still change my mind about things, as you'll see, and get better about things, and just in general become a more open person and a more receptive person and a more like empathetic and just understanding individual. So when I share these things about myself or my thought process, it's not to excuse, it's not to like I'll feel bad for me. It's just to share the perspective and like the what was going on in my head and around me at the time. And so with not only that, but I do want to make an important asterisk there and say that there are a pretty huge chunk of, I don't know if fans is the right word, but I do have like a good chunk of my following that does defend me for a lot of the things that I've done. And I think it's important to that if you've defended me for some of these points, I do suggest that you continue watching the video, and that maybe you not in the future, and that maybe we can together reassess things. All right, reassess things, and be more open to changing your mind and how we see things. And so all of that being said, I want to start off with my persona, which I think everyone has online. Everyone has like this like online persona. I don't think I really have that same persona, and I think some people still kind of mention it now. Like I'll say something like, "Oh, old Nips is back," and that type of persona that I had back then was one that I tried to be really, really like proud about, which was cringe because the persona at the time was just problematic artist ONIBs. I have hot takes, which weren't even like hot takes. They were just like say stupid and ignorant things and think that I'm doing something like revolutionary. All right, this is just stupid. It's just honestly stupid and ignorant. Like I didn't understand what systemic racism was. I didn't understand like reverse racism and how it doesn't exist. I didn't like, I had like a lot of like sprinkled undertones of like hashtag not like other girls. I had I didn't like, I was just like, did not understand like why I was being transphobic. I didn't understand transphobia. I didn't understand internalized all of those behaviors. Like I just was ignorant, uninformed, not self-aware. I didn't do any introspection. And I think at the time, which was around 2014 to like mid early 2018, a lot of it was very just like shameless, like problematic persona. And at the time, I think that was around the era on YouTube where it was like SJWs getting wrecked compilation, like, and I used to consume that content too, so that should tell you of where I was mentally. And so I think that my persona being the way that it was garnered a huge following of people who didn't like SJWs. And I say like that because first of all, I don't like the term, and second of all, the stigma that is around that term is like, but I know you know what I mean when I say this. And we live in a society, and at the time, and even now, like, that's a term that people use. And so at the time, the hate for SJWs was very common, and it was pretty like potent. And so because my persona was unabashedly like problematic and anti-SJW, a lot of people kind of like lived vicariously through my persona. And so, for example, when people would call me out on my controversies, not only were the controversies bad already, but I would defend it, and then I would like double and triple down on just making it worse. So it was just cringe. Like I created an echo chamber of my own in order to just fuel this like toxic bubble of like anti like sympathetic, empathetic, anti SJW, like just it was so toxic. Like it was a toxic persona. And then on top of that, even when I would apologize, it was just non-apologies. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just, I'm apologizing because I have to, because it's good optics, but I don't really mean it, but I'm gonna do it. So like you can feel it through the apology. It's like, well, I'm sorry you're offended, which I don't think is a bad defense. I feel like there's a time and a place to use I'm sorry that you got hurt by that. But like the times where I used it was not the time or the place, especially with the way that I said it. It was just so dismissive, and it's just passive aggressive. It's just all of that. And so this was kind of the persona that I had, problematic artist ONIPS. And I want to touch on my personality in general. I consider myself to be an overall extremely toxic person. Now, the reason I say it in like the present tense is because I feel like I don't know if, like, how I've read a lot of people who, for example, will say like, oh, narcissistic people will never be able to notice that they're narcissistic, and like that's the danger of them. And then there are some psychologists that say, well, yeah, like the fall of the ego, like narcissistic people will have like one big moment where they like realize, like they become self-aware. So like I don't really know, but my theory is that if I'm toxic inherently, I don't think I could ever really get rid of those traits, but I can learn to manage them. And so I think that inherently I'm still toxic, but over the years I've gotten much, much better at like managing the impulses and the behavior and like catching it before it happens and saying, oh, I'm about to do the thing. And then I just cut myself off before doing it. But back then, not only did I not have any self-awareness, but and because I didn't have any self-awareness, I just was running rampant. Like it was out of control. I was just, didn't want to be wrong, never wanted to apologize. I never reflected on anything. I never internalized anything. I was petty, I was bitter, envious, jealous, so much internalized behaviors because of the lack of self-awareness and introspection. Just so like any toxic behavior under the sun, that was me. Passive aggressive, like just like being like sassy and like rude for like no reason, like everything, dude. It was just so bad. And so of course when I'd get called out, like my immediate response would be to like not only not admit that I was potentially wrong or be open to being like, did I do a thing? I would just fucking attack, always on the attack. I always had to be defensive about everything because I couldn't possibly be wrong. And one of the horrible things about that type of persona is like, you can't be wrong. If you have that type of persona, and the only person that I can think of really that has like a similar persona is Nikita Dragon, who like, you can't ever be wrong, because if you're out here like stunting and fucking like flexing on people and talking about how badass you are and all of this shit, like apologizing is almost like a sign of weakness to that type of persona. And so you can't really ever admit that you're wrong. And so I took that persona to kind of like the extreme. And obviously this isn't me to shit on anyone. It was just an example by comparison. Please do not, this is not to flame anyone. So but yeah, and so I would do all of that. And I want to add to, wait, did I mention this already? It's been 13 minutes. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I do have an iPad here with me that I'm going to be showing you guys the sources. I've filmed this so many times that I almost like, I can't even remember what I said in this specific filming or not. So I do have an iPad with me. I will be showing you guys sources, and I do have an outline with me. So the next thing that I want to touch on is feelings about myself, like how I feel about myself. And all of these things hopefully will be good glasses to guide us from point A to point B. And how I feel about myself, if you've been following me for a long time, you'll know that I have severe imposter syndrome. I don't feel like I deserve anything that I have or receive or could potentially receive or anything. I hate myself as a person. I feel like I'm just a detriment to everyone I know, everyone around me, and everyone online that could potentially run into one of my tweets or one of my posts. I don't feel like I deserve to live because I'm such a detriment to everyone around me that I might as well not even exist. I feel like there's no redemption for me. I feel like there's nothing I could potentially do to even just, I wish I could go back and like erase everything that I've done. I honestly wish that I could do that, and I can't. And because I can't, I feel helpless, and I feel like there's nothing I can do. Like I'm stained, and I'll be forever everything that I've ever done. And I honestly feel like it would just be better if I didn't exist. That's the reality of my state of mind. Zero will to live, zero self-worth. I'm a detriment to everyone around me, and it's better, and it would be better if I just didn't exist. So with all of those things being said, I want to move on to my first controversy. So for those of you that don't know me at all, my first controversy is probably my biggest. And that is that back in 2017, I would say before that as well, but one of my habits as a person online and even in real life, I have like, I don't want to say OCD because I know a lot of people say I have OCD, but I do have a very unhealthy compulsion to like control like the cleanliness and the organization of things around me online or in person. Like it's pretty bad. And online, a lot of people would even troll me about it because it became a thing where I would like post something and it like, if it didn't look right, like I couldn't, or if I didn't feel right about it, or if I didn't like it just like I couldn't. And so I would anally post and delete, post and delete, post and delete, because like I didn't like how it looked. And then if I didn't post all art, then I didn't want to tweet. But then if I tweeted, it would break the flow of the art. And so it was just like some really anal behavior. And so every time that I would address something, even with the like non-apologies that I would post, or do anything, I would just wipe everything. Like I had periods where I would just like wipe and then continue. And so new fans couldn't ever see either the scandals or if I had even addressed anything to begin with. And so, now to go back to my first controversy, which is back in 2016, and I would say maybe earlier than that, 2016, 2017, I had a habit of saying the N-word online, and like not just like A, but like hard R as well. And I would, oh my God, I would make all the excuses that like anyone that says the N-word and thinks that they're justified in saying it like made. I would say like, oh, but like context, like if I say it in a song, or if like it means bro, or like I have black friends and like I say it to my black friends and they're fine, so things are fine, and like I'm not racist, so I can say it's just a word, bro. Like all of those defenses, like I used all of them. And now with the context of knowing of how my personality and persona were, imagine when I would get called out by that, what I would do. I would not only defend it, I would triple down. Like I would defend it like using the words, like to be petty and to be like purposely stubborn and like confrontational and just, oh my God. So like I understand now like how frustrating it must have been as someone from the Black community and just anyone in general, but mostly the Black community, of course, like seeing this fucking dumb ass bitch not only fucking use, which I'm going to show you in a second, use these words, but like defend it and then triple down. Like, oh my God. Like, of course the internet hates me. And this wasn't like one time, like I do this like several times. And so, like this is the, I don't even know if you can see this. Oh, like this is the most popular of the screenshots. And like those replies are to all of my Black friends. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, this is fine. Like it's cool. Like here, like I would say it everywhere. And like there's one, this one is the one where I'm like defending it. And for those of you trying to expose me, yes, I say the, like you see how I'm like typing it out and I'm like doubling down and defending it? Like how cringe, dude. And if you go, like if you Google, like you'll find just like threads of like me saying it, like even like telling someone that like they got exposed for saying it, then I was like, do you really have to apologize? Like using the, oh my God, so fucking cringe, dude. I even had friends at the time, like art mutuals, who like messaged me and they were like, maybe you should not use that word. And I was like, nah, dude, I'm okay, first of all, I'm half Dominican, half Spanish, and I was raised in Miami. So Florida people, you know what I'm saying? That was another one. I was like, yeah, I'm from Miami, dude. Like, it's cool. Like, so like I used everything in the book and it was just cringe. And I will say, here's one thing. I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I don't know if this is bad optics, but I do believe that context is a thing. Like I do, like for example, if I tell someone like slay queen, like I'm not really inciting like genocide or like telling them to go slaughter innocent people. It's just a word that through time and through societal use has garnered this meaning that when we say slay, we know what they mean. So I do understand that the N-word could potentially have this context. And I will say that just because you say the word, I don't think it inherently makes someone racist. I think that just saying the word doesn't just outright make you racist. I think the intent behind that is what makes you racist. However, I don't think that it gives you a pass to say if you're not Black. So that's how I'm gonna end that hot take, I guess. Is like, I think that even with the context, I think the people who are allowed to use it in that context are those who are Black, and that's it. And I think that one of the things with my personality being the way that it with the intensity that it was back then, like knowing that I didn't want to be wrong, I didn't want to apologize, I wanted to be petty and all of that stuff, hearing that I was racist for saying this word when the intention in all of the tweets that I've ever made was clearly not, then it made me resent, and it made me want to fight back, because I'm just like not these things. But I'm busy right now, I can't. Sorry about that. And so I wanted to fight back. I wanted to be like, well, I'm just not those things. I did say the word. So like it made me less receptive to want to understand the other sides. And that's not an excuse, but it was just like putting myself in the mindset at the time. And I will say that, like, I think maybe that's a hot take, maybe. I don't know, but I feel like calling people racist for saying the word outright is an irresponsible thing to do, and it devalues the word racist, because I think being racist is a very serious accusation. And I think there are people who use the word very irresponsibly, and not because they're racist, but mostly because they're fucking ignorant and they're just dumb and they don't understand the meaning and the depth of the word that they're using. And so I don't know, maybe that's bad optics, maybe you can change my mind, maybe that's like a bad take, I don't know. But again, I do want to say a huge and deep sorry to the Black community, and of course to everyone else who like had to witness the tweets, who had to see them, who had to like, just like, it's so like, even when I think about it, because it's not just the tweets themselves that are bad, it's like the how I handled it makes it so much worse than they already were. And so I can't even begin to imagine the level of frustration, like anger, resentment, like disgust to everyone in the community, the Black community, who saw that and was like, dude, what in God's green earth what the fuck is this bitch saying? And so I am sorry. Like, I am sorry. And one thing that I do want to say is, like, I'm not like, when I say these things, like, I know I'm not owed forgiveness. I at no point expect anyone to accept my apology. And second of all, quick asterisk, like, if you're not from the Black community, this is not even your apology to accept in the first place. So, but yeah, I do think it's like owed. I do think it's something that I need to say. And even for all like the dumb takes just related to the Black community, I didn't understand systemic racism. I didn't understand like internalized racism, like the microaggressions that we see like around us all the time towards Black people, and all of this. Like, I just didn't understand that. I had such like reverse racism. I didn't understand it, all of these like things, and I made such horrible takes online regarding to all of those things. And so for all of that, I'm like so sorry, dude. Like, I was just such an uneducated and ignorant individual. And not saying that now I'm like, I've risen to fucking enlightenment, dude, because like I'm still learning every day. And you'll see that there's a lot of my controversies here that I still don't really understand, but I want to be honest about them, that I don't understand why they were problematic, and I am open to changing my mind, and I do want to know, but I also want to be honest, and I don't want to do what I did before, which was like give like this passive aggressive like non-apology and not truly understand why what I did was wrong. Like, you get me? So yeah, and I guess that would be, well, I can't segue into my next controversy yet, because I haven't talked about the George Floyd situation, which is one of the things that made me leave socials in the first place. And so earlier this year, at the height of the BLM situation with George Floyd's passing, I in my mind, I knew, and in my heart, I knew, like, I'm an ally. I'm an ally, and I want to support, and I want to do what I can. I shared articles, I shared sources, I donated, and as an artist, I wanted to use my craft in order to support as well. And I knew, I was like, if I post a drawing, I'm going to get the "this you?" ? And what sucked about thinking about that was the people that would comment that wouldn't be wrong, because I'd be like, well, fuck yeah, that was me. But it's not me now. And because I had a serial habit of deleting everything and not truly addressing anything, they really wouldn't be wrong in still being upset. And even if I had addressed it properly, like, you'd still be right in being upset. So it's like, I couldn't even be mad, really. But it would hurt only because deep down I knew that, like, that I wasn't the things that they were calling me. And so I had to, like, make a mental chart and be like, okay, well, the right thing to do is to be an ally, is to post, to share sources, to be a part of the movement. This is a pivotal time in a very overdue and necessary time in our country's state right now, and I need to use my platform to move it forward. And if I do get this used, then so be it, because that's the reality. And so I posted it, and I got literally like "this you." And as soon as I got "this you," I already knew, but I also started getting other messages like, this ain't it, sis. Like, we don't want you as an ally, like, leave, and blah, blah, blah. And like all of that. And I went ahead and I made a handwritten apology. And I was very, at least I felt to me, like, very genuine. And I wrote, like, I addressed what I had done, why it was wrong, and what I had done going forward, because this was something that happened back in 2017, and I haven't used those words since then. And so what I had done and how I had changed, and that I was truly sorry and that I was an ally. And I knew that I deserved this. Like, I did deserve this. Like, I had done those things. Those things were, like, disgusting, and they were super fucking cringe. And yet, I would be lying if I said that it didn't really hurt to see that, like, people just didn't, like, we don't want you to be an ally. Like, take this down. Like, you fucking hypocrite. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, fucking disgusting and all of this. And I don't know if it hurt because they were saying them, or if it hurt because, like, I already believed those things about myself. And my self-worth and my feelings of how I affected those around me is already there. And so just hearing other people vocalize that was just like the confirmation that I needed. And so during some time after that, I felt really bad. I was in a pretty bad funk. I didn't know what to do. I was like, well, I do deserve this and I think it's fine. But it did make me sad. It did make me sad, even though I did know that I deserved it. But I did leave the drawing up, and I did leave my my posts and my donations up. And one thing I do want to say, like I had said earlier, like in the apology I wrote, like, don't accept this apology if it's not for you to accept. And I said at the bottom as well that it will stay up. And one of the reasons why I'm making this video is also because I had written that and nuked everything. And when I nuked everything, I'll tell you that I truly did not intend to come back. And maybe it's because I'm an incredibly impulsive individual. And at the time, in my heart and in my mind, I truly believed I was not coming back. And now that I am back, I don't think it's right for me to come back. And at least if I don't like repost the apology, which it'll be down below, I needed to at least allude to it, which is why I'm here, like, having this conversation now. And so I did feel bad. And so on the wave of that, like, type of like funk, on Twitter, the Sky Williams things started surfacing, and that stress started amounting. So for those of you that don't know what the Sky Williams situation is TLDR, Sky Williams used to be a League of Legends content creator on YouTube. He was pretty big. And he had these several houses that the online community used to call them, like, the Sky houses. And there were several of them over the course of a couple of years. And I lived in one of them from like 2015 to 2016. And in those houses, it was like all gamers, content creators, artists, like just a bunch of people. And we were all crammed. The house that I lived in was like 20 people just like crammed in one house. And that house was just general debauchery. And it also, on the side note, it really contributed to like that false logic that I had in my head, because that house was like, I would say like 80% black, and everyone was just tossing around words that I should not have been tossing around. And it made me further believe like the flawed logic that I had in my head. And so that house was just general like degeneracy. Like, it was just completely out of control. And a lot of the things that were surfacing on Twitter were happening with people that had either been to the Sky House or that lived there. And so a lot of people were starting to like poke around and ask, like, wait, but what is the Sky House? Why has nobody said anything? What really happened there? Etc., etc. And one of the reasons why none of the people that had ever lived there said anything, me included, was because Sky's platform is massive and his audience is massive. And Sky's a pretty good liar. Sky's a pretty good liar and manipulator. And so we were all very scared of like saying anything and then getting immediately shut down and not believed. And so a lot of us just didn't say anything. And when all of this stuff, people started poking around and people started asking about it, it gave everyone that had lived there more confidence to say something and potentially be believed. And so through the course of like, I'd say like 1 to 2 weeks, me and a couple of the other ex-Sky House roommates were deliberating back and forth. We're like, oh, well, if we say this, then will he say this? And if we say this, then like, will he say this? And so it was just like, I wrote a like 8 to 10 page Google Doc, which I'll share below, about my entire experience at the Sky House. And I tried to write it as objectively as possible. And it took me, my ex-roommate wrote, OFFcell wrote one as well. And it took us like a good chunk of like a week and a half. And we just did not sleep, and we were just writing constantly, talking between roommates. And Sky was also trying to talk to us behind the scenes and everything. And all of that stress amounted with the negative feelings that I had with the George Floyd situation. And then on top of that, how I already felt about myself just kind of culminated into what I wrote at the end of the Google Doc, which was that I was leaving socials, and that I'm turning 30 in a couple days, and I was having like a third life crisis, and I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm done with socials. I need to spend time with my family, reassess my life. I'm better off. Like, I'm too toxic of a person. I feel like I'm much better off. I'm doing more damage than good to those around me, and I don't deserve a platform. And I just kind of like laid it out. And then I would say like within the week, I just left. I deleted everything and I left. And I want to say that being away, I don't want to put an asterisk on that because like, I'll get to it in a second, but being away without like a means of coming back. And I know I still had Twitch, but it's not really a social media where you can like post, you get me? So it didn't really feel the same to still have Twitch. Made me think of things like differently. And I know I have people with imposter syndrome always get told like imposter syndrome and like low self-worth and all of that. Like, I always get told like, trust your friends, like just start trusting like what they say. You know, you can't take a fucking compliment. Like, you feel like you don't deserve anything. And so I tried. I for once, like, I tried to like force myself to just listen to what my friends were telling me. And so I made an anonymous account on Instagram and on Twitter, an art account, just like random name. And I started posting just art again. And while it felt good to post art and just start creating, it just didn't feel like me. Because it wasn't me. Like, I was posting under another name, and it was also funny because like people were messaging me like, I feel like I've seen your art style somewhere. And I'm like, oh God. But at the end of the day, it just didn't feel like me. It just felt like I was running. Like, that's what that really felt. And so I decided to just not pursue that. And I tried a couple of other things. And one day I just felt like streaming on Twitch again with the impulsive behavior. I don't know if it was a good decision or not, but I streamed because I missed everyone and I just wanted to check in. And I did, and it was really nice to see everyone, and we kind of just chilled and hung out, but I never really like talked. Like I never really said what I was doing or like how I felt about certain things. It was more of like, I really just wanted to see you guys, and I just wanted to like, and this isn't to really be like a pity party, but it's more like there were a lot of other things going on in my personal life that I felt like I couldn't reach out to certain people, and I just wanted to see you guys. So that was kind of what was happening at the time, and I started regularly streaming again, and it felt nice. And then I opened up my socials again, and then I kind of like effectively came back. And I I'm here. I'm making this video because I'm back and I want to share with you some of the thoughts that I've accumulated over the years that I think it's time that I say something about. And so my next controversy is, and it's one that, like I said earlier, there are some that I really do not understand why I'm wrong, but I am open to changing my mind. And so, but I do want to share it because it still was a big thing. And that is the box braids. So for quite some time, I used to just wear box braids, and I absolutely love the hairstyle. I think it's really, really gorgeous. And I would buy the extensions online, get them done. And I usually would only get them done for conventions because they were just expensive. And the maintenance was really high, but I just absolutely love the hairstyle. And a lot of people would tell me that it was cultural appropriation, that I couldn't do that because I was white, and that I wasn't allowed to do that. And not to mention all the hot takes on cultural appropriation that I had as well. I had so many hot takes on like just everything, like so much cringe. And I think to this day, I do understand the basis of cultural appropriation. Like I do understand why Black women wearing their either natural hair, braided hair in normal spaces get flack for it, whether it be in a job setting or in a casual setting. They don't get praised for it. They get looked at funny for it. And then seeing someone with like even colorism, just like colorism, even if it's like a Black woman with like lighter skin, just them getting praised for the same thing that they get flack for is in and of itself like infuriating. Or just taking something not from your culture, that is from a marginalized culture, and like assuming it as your own, or potentially using it as like a costume, or like using it in a way that you don't understand why it's being used the way that it's used, and then potentially being offensive. Logically, I understand all of that, but I don't know why me using it is inherently like offensive. I still like, I'm just being really honest, and I'm open to changing my mind. And you know, the creator whose videos I watched a lot, and I think she's really, really amazing in talking about cultural appropriation, colorism, and just everything. And she's so eloquent, super articulate, is T Noir. I'm gonna put her stuff down below. T Noir, she's super awesome. And I think it's one of those things that maybe I just have like a complicated, I just don't know where I truly stand on cultural appropriation. Like, where is the line? I don't think I truly understand that yet. Like, where is the line between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation? And maybe it's bad optics to say that, but like that is my honest like feeling right now, is that I don't really know where the line is. And so because I don't know where that line is, I don't truly know why what I did was truly wrong. And in my head, especially at the time, was like similar to the reasonings that I would use with like the N-word. Like, well, I'm Dominican, right? And like I grew up like with people with 4C hair, and we would get our hair braided, and it was like normal to me. So like, but then Dominicans are like super fucking inherently like super internally racist. Like, let's just like put that out in the fucking open. Like, Dominicans, first of all, if you're Dominican and you have like straight or like wavy hair, they would be like, tienes pelo bueno, like you have like good hair. And I'm like, and I never understood that, because my cousins, I liked their curly hair, So they would try to put their hair like mine, and I would put my hair like theirs. Like I would get it like curled, and it wouldn't last like 5 minutes because my hair is pretty wavy and like semi-straight in European. And so, and like even just like I'm brown, but like I'm not like super brown. And so like even like people who are darker than me in Dominican Republic, like, oh nice, like your skin is so nice, like it's so light. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck is happening? Like what is happening? And so like even things like that, like I didn't understand. So like I can't tell if I just do not understand why me wearing braids is like, where is the line? Did I cross it? Like I don't understand that. And so unfortunately, like I'm really sorry. Like I promise, like I will continue to think about it. And I think one day it will click. Like one day it will click. But the honest truth is that like right now, I just like, I don't understand. Like to me, it doesn't make sense right now. But either way, I will link T Noir's stuff below, and you can definitely check her out because she has a lot of interesting videos about a lot of very crucial topics in our society right now. So, all of that to segue into my next controversy, which is, I think, I wouldn't say the biggest one, but I would say it's one where it was like the Squidward meme. Like, you know, when he's like sleeping, he's just like, boom. Like when I switched over my opinion on this, it was like, it felt like it was overnight. Like everything just clicked overnight. And it sucks because this one is like the height of internalized behavior. I think I consider myself part of the LGBTQ community. I'm pansexual. I have used the term bisexual before, but I stopped using it with when the rise of it questioning whether it was like a transphobic term, and I decided to just like steer clear from that word. And honestly, I don't really think about like gender or parts or anything really when I'm considering a partner. If I like you, I like you. So I do sometimes use, so maybe I'm part of the problem, I do sometimes use bisexual with people who don't really know what pansexual is. So I just like to save myself time. So maybe I'm being part of the problem. Maybe I should just stop, period. But either way, the transphobic situation was such a big eye-opener for me when I finally came around and things made sense, because this one was internalized in the root logic that because I'm part of the LGBTQ community, I could never possibly be transphobic or homophobic or have any internalized problematic issues with that community. And so the dream daddy situation is where I'm going to hit that note on. And so, which is my next controversy. So for those of you that don't know, there was this game, and I think this was also back in 2017. Back in 2017, there was a game called Dream Daddy that came out. It was a dating sim with a bunch of hot gay dads. And at the time, I only knew about it because one of the artists that I really liked, OFFcell, was the artist for the game. And so I was just like, dude, like their art is so good. Like I'm gonna put their work down below. Definitely check it out. And so I was gonna play the game literally for this artwork. And I, at the time, was known for gender bending, this fad called gender bending, which I don't think it's really that much of a fad anymore, and I'll get to that in a sec. But God, even explaining gender bending is pretty fucking transphobic. But gender bending is like going from like a guy to a girl or a girl to a guy. And then like I would gender bend like League of Legends characters, or excuse me, literally anything under the sun. And so at the time when this game got announced, I was like, oh, I could turn the hot dads into hot moms. And so, you know, I thought I was doing something. And so I went ahead and I was streaming it, and I streamed it like, I think the day it came out, I was streaming the gender bending of the dads into moms, which I called Dream MILFs. And the internet ate me alive because of the name too. I didn't even pick the name. It was like a poll. And the viewers picked it. And, but yeah, and so I went ahead and I did that and I posted it. And I remember waking up to thousands of like comments and messages and tweets and everywhere. Like, and at the time I had a Tumblr, so I was getting like emails, everything, like everywhere. And the wild thing about it now, in hindsight, is like, I now agree with that vocal minority, the 20%. Like, I understand now. Like, I understand their frustrations. And so, to get into it, the biggest like lashback that I had, that was the most obvious to me, was that Damien, one of the dads, was a trans man. And so I had gender bent a trans dad, a trans man, trans dad, well, trans man. And it's like I inadvertently did the thing. Like, I assumed their gender kind of by like a cis men, and then like, but then in my head, I was like, well, she could be a trans woman, right? Like, that would be the opposite of a trans man. I'll get to it, why I'm using quotations for opposite. But so in my head, I used that as a justification for the next argument that people were giving me, which was gender bending is inherently transphobic. And that one was one that I truly did not understand until like this last like year, maybe year and a half. Like, I truly did not understand this. And so what I did was I used the justification of like Damien potentially being a trans woman as the opposite to fight back against the other argument, which was that gender bending is inherently transphobic. And so now in hindsight, like, what happened was that the 80% of it, like I said, during those times, everyone, and plus my persona, that's why like I gave the preface, like the context. Imagine my persona plus the like anti-SJW plus the personality that I had and how I might have fucking responded to this. And what I did was I fought back. First of all, I fought back. I was just like, no. I was doing like the passive aggressive thing where you like respond to comments with like, sorry you're offended, basically, TLDR. And like I would put like a smiley face, and I was like, no, I'm not apologizing, this and that. And like, even I think there was a time where I apologized and I like attributed being trans to like liking the color blue or something. Like, super cringe, super fucking cringe. And the worst part about it is that because the 80% was so like, and I was part of like the anti-SJW mindset. And so hearing that much of the majority agree with me and also fight back against that 20%, just, I didn't think I ever needed to really think about it. I was like, no, I'm also not transphobic. Like, I'm part of the LGBTQ. Like, all of the things that I was using to justify my logic was just so flawed. And I understand people's frustrations now. Like, I can't believe how frustrated people must have been. And let me tell you, I'm going to tell you about how I like triple down, because not only did I defend it, but Damien, I drew them as like a woman, and I drew them as a man, and then I drew them like not safe for work, and I sold it on Gumroad. Like, of course people hate me online. Like, of course. Like, how the fuck do you not hate someone like that? Like, what the fuck? Like, holy shit. Like, petty, insensitive, like tone deaf, like ignorant, just all of the horrible shit under the sun. And so like, I get it. Like, now I understand why people were that frustrated with me and why so many people hated me. And I don't think this one is on the same level as like people calling me racist, where it was like okay, context matters and like intention matters. Like I could have been ignorant and done the wrong thing and used the words at the wrong time. But this is just like blatantly, like I was just blatantly transphobic. Like it was just so, even if I didn't intend to, like I think it was just so blatantly like I would even say things like there are two genders, and like I literally sounded like Ben Shapiro. Like fuck, I even consumed his content at the time, so like that should fucking tell you. I'm gonna get to that in a second. There are two genders, and like if you have a penis, you're a man, and if you have a vagina, you're a woman. And like I'm not transphobic, but like if you believe that you're this, then I respect your opinion, but like also you're dumb. Like just like dumb shit like that. And so I did not understand why gender bending was inherently transphobic until literally this last year. And I want to share with you two articles, is not the right word, like two blog posts that I found that just explain it pretty fucking well. And I'm going to share them down below. Please give them a read. If this is something that you don't understand, go ahead and read it down below. But gender bending, first of all, is contingent on, first of all, a binary. And second of all, you're having a penis makes you a man, having a vagina makes you a woman, which is just not the case. Like, why can't a woman have a penis and vice versa, you know? And it's also contingent on socially constructed stereotypes of what a man and a woman are. And so like when you turn the woman into a man, like normally what, you chisel the jaw, you make the hair short, you fucking make square hips and like give them pants or some shit. And then if you go the other way, you like soft features, long hair, dress, like girly clothes. And all of this is like just socially constructed stereotypes on the binary. All of it is just contingent on that and like the parts that someone has on them. And none of that like made sense to me back in the day. I was just like, no, like it just cannot be. And the reason that I want to tie me being away is because during this time that I was away, I had to defend this point to someone, and I hadn't realized how much my opinion had changed until I had to defend that exact same point to them, and they sounded how I sounded back then. They were like, yeah, but like science, and like a man has a penis and a woman has a vagina. And I was like, wait, no, like why can't a woman have a penis, but like trans women are women? And like imagine if you, and they are a member of the LGBTQ community, and so like I had to tell them, I was like, imagine if you as a member of the LGBTQ community hear someone say like, oh well, I believe that marriage should be between a man and a woman, but like I respect your decision to like want to date different to that. Like, is that not invalidating and dismissive and insensitive? They were like, yeah, well. And so like hearing from this person the same arguments that I used to make was very eye-opening to what I used to sound like and how much my opinions and thoughts had changed on the thing. And so this is one that I really wanted to talk about because it wasn't just how much my opinion had changed, but it was that till this day, a lot of people had defended me for this. And if you're someone who had defended me for this, or someone that still doesn't understand this, please, I implore you to read the blog post below, because they do such a good job of like pretty concisely explaining this concept. And if not, it's fine. It's a step at a time. Like sometimes it just doesn't happen overnight. So just give yourself time to just think about it and really like think about the content that you consume and like why you think what you think, who is affected by you thinking the way that you think. And I maybe I'll hammer on that point later, but continuing on the transphobia and the internalized transphobia, I want to mention another content creator. Two content creators. One is one that I know she has her own sets of controversies and problems. And the only reason I'm going to mention her here is because I don't know if I'm going to change my opinion on her later. I don't know. But I'm going to mention her because she's definitely made me more sympathetic and understanding to trans causes, trans issues, trans problems, trans life. And obviously she doesn't speak for every trans person, but it definitely opened my eyes. So in my mind, logically, that's a good thing, right? So I'm going to mention her, and her name is ContraPoints. And ContraPoints is a creator online. She makes extremely eloquent, very articulate, very well thought out videos, opinion pieces on important subjects in society, all while looking like a fucking goddess, dude. Like, the aesthetic, capital A, is just dripping in every video. And so I will link her down below. And one of the videos that I want to highlight of hers is her video on the word trap as a slur, which is something that I just had never truly, like, it was like the same logic as the N-word, where I was like, well, in the context, if I'm using it, like, technically, like, you're not, by definition, I'm not wrong. Like, it just, like that type of logic. And so she did such a good job in that video of really explaining in so much depth, like, the history of the word, the history of, like, violence towards trans women, and how their lives are at stake for people who think they've been tricked by trans women. So, like, please give it a view, give her some views. If there are trans issues that you don't, and obviously she does not speak for all trans women, and there are a lot of trans creators you can go out and consume, but I'm just sharing the one that really opened my eyes to those kinds of things. And two of the ones that I want to talk about now that steered me away, and two of the ones that I consumed at the time when I had those, like, SJWs getting wrecked compilations, like, just cringe, are Calvin Guerra and Blair White. And I think I publicly at one point, like, called Blair White, like, a queen or whatever. And I just, like, if you don't know who these people are, Blair White is a trans creator online, and she makes videos about other trans people. And Calvin Guerra is a trans man who does the same thing. However, what these two creators have in common is what brought people in like me, who felt like me, who thought like me at the time, and sucked us in. Because, to summarize it, I feel like I and a lot of other people needed our internalized transphobia to be confirmed by someone who was trans. So, like, Calvin and Blair are always painting themselves out to be, like, the good trans. Like, that's what they do. And they just like make fun of trans people. Like, that's what they do. Like, they just bully other trans people, invalidate their feelings, completely dismiss everything that they have to say or feel, and just laugh at them. And they're like, haha, look at how these trans people are not like me. Not to mention a lot of the other problematic trans opinions that they have, like not being a real trans person if you don't feel dysphoric or if you don't want to transition, and just a plethora of other things. And so I remember watching this video by Calvin Guerra making fun of a trans trender on TikTok. And Brennan, which is the person in question's name, I remember watching this video back in the day. He was making fun, and Brennan looked like what a typical SJW would look like, because this is what he was making fun of. Like, Brennan just had pink hair, living their life, existing, and sharing their feelings and just thoughts on their transness and their identity, and just living on TikTok. And Calvin was just shitting on them, like just shitting on them, saying that they were a transgender, that they don't like, they're not valid, and that this is just like funny, and just laughing and making fun of their appearance. And I agreed with that video. Like, disgusting, dude. Like, fucking cringe. And at the time, I had binge watched like a bunch of Calvin and Blair's videos. And there was a time where I stopped watching, but I never truly analyzed why I stopped watching until I ran into a video 3 years later, like just recently, on my feed by Brennan, who said, "Breaking my silence on Calvin Guerra." And I'm going to link that video down below. Please watch it. Because obviously I'm not going to tell her whole story. Or their whole story, my bad, sorry. I don't remember the pronouns. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm not going to tell their whole story on here, so please just go watch the video. So they make a video and they talk about how, first of all, they don't even make YouTube videos for a living. It was just something that they enjoyed to do on the side from school. And they were just still struggling with their identity and like just thinking about their life in general. And this video got made by Calvin and it went viral. And they got harassed everywhere. Like, every video that they made, it was just them being made fun of and being told very obscene threats and comments, threatening their like livelihood and a bunch of other things. And so they disappeared for like 3 years, and then they just came back and made a breaking a silence video. And it was so eye-opening to me to hear what I had felt but not truly internalized, because I hadn't analyzed it, from someone who was the subject of a video I had consumed forever ago. It was just so many pieces and like the full circle. And so the videos that Calvin and Blair make are just bullying. They're so absolutely rude, dismissive, a lot of internalized transphobia, and just generally a very bad time. And so hearing Brennan's story was, I'm sorry again for like messing up the pronouns. I truly do not remember right now. But I'm gonna link their video down below. It's a good watch, very, very nicely edited, very well worded, and just takes you from like point A to point B. So, yeah, I would highly implore that you watch that and give it a look. So, all of that being said, I want to conclude the transphobia umbrella with a giant sorry to the trans community, dude. I just cannot, just like the same with the Black community, I cannot believe the level of frustration of seeing this person just say those things, have those takes, feel this way, create that art, and like be talked back to and doubled and tripled down on when you're just trying to exist, and then have your voice be completely muffled by like the 80% of people just like anti-SJWs. Like, it's so cringe, like it's so sad. And I know a lot of people, I think that was like my biggest controversy, in the sense that it like went the most viral. Like it even has like a Forbes article apparently. And a lot of people defended me for that. And I never truly understood that the 20% was truly in the right for feeling frustrated. And I I feel bad too, because seeing, like, having this conversation with this person that I was like truly trying to convince them on, they, like me, like, they didn't understand why the way that they were thinking was bad. Even though deep down I know they aren't really out, like, it's just a lot of internalized subconscious behavior that they don't know that they're doing. Like, in their mind, they've logically convinced themselves that it's fine. And so I want to say something, because now, as someone who's been on both sides, I want to implore people on both sides to have conversations. Like, have conversations. I think a lot of the thing that set me back at the time from even like trying to understand wasn't just like, because there are several things, like, obviously, but it wasn't just the 80% like giving me a confirmation bias, but my fucking super toxic nature into wanting to never be wrong and never be open to listening. It got worse by people who, on the other side, wanted to not talk to me. They were just like, wait, it's not our duty to educate you and this and that. And it's like, a lot of the people that have the mindset that I used to have are really just confused. A lot of them are just confused, very misinformed, uninformed. Are very uninformed. They're just ignorant. Like, they just, this is something that society, like, they just don't know. So, like, I feel like conversations are so important right now. And a lot of these people who still have that, like, anti-SJW, like, mentality, they resent, like, the very, like, defensive attitude that the SJWs might have. Which, I understand your frustrations now. So I understand that you might not want to engage with these people. But just know that the potential allies that are in there, a lot of them really are just confused and they're just uninformed. And like, it just requires like a little tug, and like, just to like plant the seed, you know? And so if you're someone who thinks like you might have thought the way that I did, and you might have some like work to do, just, it's a start. Just like, start thinking about it and be more open to it. So yeah, anyway, like, I didn't want to, like, that did not mean to like sound preachy or anything. I really am saying that from like the perspective of someone who was on both sides, and just like wanting to let you know that there are a lot of people out there like myself who are allies. And I just like was so stupid. I was so stupid and so toxic and so uninformed and so unwilling to like truly listen and to truly like learn. You get me? So anyway, so again and again, like to the Black community, like, I'm not owed a forgiveness. Like, I understand that. Like, I truly understand that, and I truly understand why you would hate me and why you could not continue to ever consume my content or even associate with me or any of that. Like, I understand with all the things that I've said and done and put out there. It makes sense to me. Like, I understand. Like, I get it. Like, I truly get it. But I do feel like me talking about it is still necessary. And so, moving on to my next one, which is the Nezuko situation. The Nezuko one was, I drew this character Nezuko from a show called Demon Slayer. And Nezuko is like a demon, like, she looks like this. She's like a little girl who gets turned into a demon. And she has like this gag in order to stop her from like eating or biting people or attacking people. And I never read the manga, but I did really like her design a lot. And so I thought it would be fun to age her up and to draw the bamboo like gag as like a ball gag. And so like I went ahead and I drew this. And this one got me in a lot of trouble. This one got me in a lot of trouble. They were like, why did you sexualize the loli? And why did you do this? You can't do that. And what happened too was when I posted it on Instagram, this is what I'm saying, that like once you have these characteristics, they just don't go away. You have to just learn how to manage them. And this was one of the times where it just like exploded out of me. Like they pressed the wrong buttons and I just went like petty overdrive. And I posted it on Instagram and a lot of people were flagging it because they were like, you can't draw this, and they got mad. And so they were flagging it and the post was getting deleted. And so I went in petty overdrive and I like fucking like reposted the picture, kept reposting it, kept getting deleted. And then what I did is like I tiled it, like I broke it into 9 pieces and then I tiled it. And I was like, you want to remove this, bitch? Here you go. And so, oh my God. And so I went ahead and I did that. And I guess apparently like if your stuff gets deleted too many times, then your account just gets deleted. And so just like that, my Instagram account was deleted. And so with this one, this is one where I understand the concerns and the wariness of where we are in a society right now, especially with content creation and where to draw the line with things. But I don't think I was in the wrong. I really do not think I was in the wrong with this drawing. She looks like a grown-ass woman to me. And if anime has time skips, I can time skip too. Like I just don't see why I can't age up a character and just, it's like time constraints don't apply to fiction. Like I can literally, or else time skips wouldn't even be allowed in any fiction. However, I will say that as society gets more complex, as technology gets more advanced, there are a lot of lines that are now harder and harder to draw. So no pun intended. So I do understand that it becomes difficult to say, okay, well, if you make like a 3D model, a very highly realistic 3D model of like, say what is seemingly an underage person, and you do some very graphic things with the model, is that illegal? Like, is it still considered art? So I do understand that we're reaching an era now in society where it's like, it's gonna get complicated to draw lines. And I understand the wariness and the confusion and the need to like start putting boxes and lines in places to make sure that these things don't happen. So I do understand that. Like I do understand that concern. However, in this situation, and in a lot of other situations where I've aged up characters, especially in my art style, which, you know, like a lot of the times my art style they usually never look any younger. I just don't agree with. And unfortunately, I know there are people who are going to disagree with that. And the honest feeling that I have right now is that I just don't agree. I just don't agree, especially not with this point. I don't think that it was wrong of me at all to draw this. And maybe I'll change my mind at some point like I did with the other things. And I definitely could have been a little bit less sassy. I probably could have been a little bit less confrontational. And I think that's one thing I could have improved on. But other than that, I don't think that the act of creating the piece was wrong in and of itself. And so that one I'll probably have to put a pin on. I don't really see it right now, but maybe in the future. And last but not least, we are at an hour and 20 minutes. See, what did I tell you? The best take that I got was an hour 40. So I'm sorry I couldn't make it any shorter. I really tried. The last one is one that I only ever got a complaint about from people on Tumblr back in 2014 and 2015. So if you are one of those people, this one is for you. And this has to do with my comic OFFcell. And OFFcell is an 18 plus comic about felons in like some futuristic, like strange prison or whatever. And in this comic, I have 4 main characters. Pim, who is German, Jaego, who is Tibetan, Saskia, who's Danish, and Anya, who's Japanese. And Anya has 3 other side characters that she's affiliated with who are also Japanese. And these 4 characters I used to draw, and I'm going to put an asterisk on used because I'm going to have to touch up on Anya in a second. So I used to draw with like slanty eyes. And if you don't know what that means, I'm going to show you in a second. If you don't know what that means, it's like Brock from Pokemon or like Gin from Bleach. And at the time that I used to do this, in my head, I was like, oh, but, or like Noodle from the Gorillas, which funnily enough, Anya and Noodle used to get compared a lot. And in my head, I love my characters deeply. Like I love them a lot. Like they are my children. I love them a lot, as problematic as they are in the comic. I really do love them a lot, and I have a lot of feelings towards not just them as creations, but they feel like real people to me. And so to me, that love that overflowed, not just that love, but like character design as a whole, clouded my judgment on truly analyzing why what I was doing could have potentially been bad and just very problematic. And so I have this character named Effie, and Effie is the embodiment of everything that is wrong with humanity. Like everything bad under the sun is this character, and she is just terrible. Oh my god, what a terrible human. And I gave her bangs that cover her eyes in order to dehumanize her. I didn't want anyone to ever truly like sympathize with her. And I do have moments where like you can see like one eye, like, you know, the anime like dramatic effect or whatever. But in general, like I keep her eyes covered. And so to me, in my mind, I thought that was on the same level as the artistic choice that I was making for Anya, Pingo, Yodaro, and Rusko, for like all of them. And I was like, oh, well, like an Anya and like Noodle is like this, it's like the same thing. Like if Gin can do it, if Brock can do it, like why can't I do it? And so the people that would point it out on Tumblr, I would respond with like a picture of like Anya or like any of them, like responding to the comment. Like, you see what I mean? Like I would always double down. Like I would always come back. I would always like defend myself and then double down. And so I would like, it would be like Anya yelling at them for even pointing it out. I really thought I was doing something. And so there was one time, and this was, how long ago was this? I want to say like in was it like 2018? I don't even know. I drew them once, Yotaro, Rusko, and Pinko. So the three side characters. I drew them with like normal eyes. And guys, I shit you not, it was like the Squidward thing again. Like it's just like, boom. Like I could no longer, like no pun intended, oh my god. I could no longer like go back. Like I couldn't see them the same way again. It all made sense. And I don't know if it's because I'm a visual person. I don't know what it was, but just seeing them drawn this way, put side by side with the other ones, it just like made sense. And with those, excuse me, with those 3 characters, I never drew them with slanty eyes again. And I'm going to show you pictures in just a sec. My iPad's at 10%, so hopefully we have enough time to hit this point. So this is how I used to draw them. See, like I even thought I was doing something cool with like they each had like different kinds. And then this is like what they look like before, and then when I started changing them. See, Rusko, Yotaro, and then Pinko. But Anya, this is where I put the asterisk. Anya is still like this. And I've drawn her, you see, like even in this one. And then when I changed it, hello? See, Anya's still like that. But I have drawn her like this. And normally when I draw her now, she's still like this. However, the reason I wanted to put the asterisk was because Anya was a main character, Anya immediately did not click for me. The other three did, but Anya was like, but she's the main character, right? Like, I'm allowed to have at least one of them, like not all of them, just one, right? Because it makes her cartoony and it like makes her like, because Anya is like a trope almost. Like so to me, kind of like the Effie situation, it felt like it was okay for me to do it with just her. And on top of that, in my mind, because of my analness with like the posts and how everything was, I was like, fuck, I'll have to delete everything, fix it, and then repost it, like, and fix the chronological order, which is not an excuse at all. It's not like a logical thing to think, but like in my mind, that's really what I was thinking at the time. And the reason I want to bring it up is because even to this day, like if you go on the website and you look at a lot of the old art, she still has that. Like Anya, like Pinko, Yotaro, and Rusko don't have that, but Anya still does. And so the reason I wanted to put the asterisk there is not only because it's still there and I have to go back and fix it, but because I'm letting you know that this is something that I still have to go back and fix the hundreds of pictures now. And because the socials were deleted and now they're like coming back, I didn't want to repost the old drawings of her, and I wanted to fix them, and I wanted to post them with her looking correctly. And so even though you do see the drawings of her like that now on the website and on my other website, I promise, like, I will be fixing them. And then I know people are gonna be like, well, why aren't you making this video if you haven't fixed it yet? And it's like, dude, like, this video I think is so overdue that I don't want to wait any longer to make this video. And so I'd rather make the video and not have it finished yet and just let you know that it's something that I'm working on, that I'm addressing, and that it's getting done right now, because there's hundreds of drawings with her in it, and the comic pages too. Like, I'm gonna do it, but I wanted to just talk about it because my feelings of it not being okay don't change. So I figured that hopefully you can take my word on it, that it's something that I'm gonna do. And so this is something that nobody ever really like mentioned. And maybe this is bad optics by me like even mentioning it in the first place, but I think it's something that I needed to just talk about, because it's a matter of like how people accept artistic freedom. So one thing I will say is that yes, everything that you do will offend someone in the world, and someone in the world won't like it. And yes, you have the freedom to pretty much do anything. However, I don't think that like doing something, first of all, like frees you from criticism and absolves you from criticism. And I don't think that just because it hurts someone, you need to automatically stop doing the thing. And I think that the middle ground between those things is that you have to decide, you have to choose which hills you're gonna die on. And you can change your mind on things, and you can change the hills that you want to die on, but at the end of the day, just because like you die, and when I say you, like I don't mean like you, like I mean like it's almost like I'm talking to myself. So when I choose to die on a hill, I know I'm not exempt of criticism or people not liking it. I just know that like my desire to do the thing, or the value that I find in doing the thing, is greater. It weighs out the criticism and the hate that I'm getting. And so this one was one that I didn't see for the longest time, and it was a hill that I was dying on. And it's something that I changed. It's something that I totally changed, and it's a hill that I didn't necessarily think I needed to die on. And the reason I mention this is because the same thing with the gender bending. There are people that still do it, and it's fine. You can choose to do that. You can draw whatever you want. However, just know that you are going to get criticism for it. You are going to get hate for it, and you are going to get things for it. So that is a decision you have to make. And I want to segue that logic into my next point of OFFcell, which is OFFcell is a comic about felons. Like, inherently, this comic is so fucking problematic. Like, there's so many problematic themes, relationships, mindsets, ideals, thought processes, everything. And the story is inherently about felons. And so one of the things that I get is like, well, why do they think like this? This is so bad. Why is this even in here? And I'm like, listen, like, you're reading a comic about prison. I don't really know what to tell you. Like, we're not valedictorians running through a sunflower field, all right? And that's a hill I'll die on. It won't be a comic for everyone. I understand that some of the themes and some of the topics presented will make people uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, that's what the story is, and those are the characters that are in there, and that is necessary for that story to evolve. And so, unfortunately, that is a hill that I'm dying on. Don't know if that's a hill that I'll ever not die on. Maybe I'll change my mind in the future, but for now, that is something that I'm gonna stick by at the time. So that is something that for the time being. Oh my god, I've been filming for like 2 hours. I'm sorry. My brain is just, and not even just 2 hours, but like, I can't believe it's been an hour and a half. But the times that I've filmed this before this take, I filmed it like, I want to say like 3 or 4 hours worth of like filming. So I'm sorry if my brain is fried right now, and I'm sorry if like I seem tired or kind of, but to conclude everything, I just wanted to make this video to just talk to you guys, to share my thoughts with you on things that have happened in my life online, my thoughts about them, things that I've been thinking about in general for the last couple of years that I've never really shared, apologies that I think were just way overdue, and just general like openness to changing your mind about things, and knowing that like, even if you don't have like the quote unquote like popular opinion on something, please like just know that as long as you're putting in the effort to, maybe one day it'll click. It doesn't always happen overnight. Like, sometimes someone will tell you something, and like, if you genuinely believe the thing at the time, like, sure. But if it takes you time, it takes you time. And like, I know a lot of people get scared because, and even I feel like that sometimes now, where I get scared when I don't agree with something that's a popular opinion. I get scared because I'm like, am I missing something now? Like, am I? And I truly get scared, and I start like thinking like, why do I think what I think? Why do I feel this way? And I start, because nowadays, if you don't think the popular opinion, you're some sort of phobic or ist or something, and like, they just cancel you and cast you aside. And I understand that thought is scary. I do get it. And like, even like this video, I'm kind of scared of posting it and it being like terrible optics. People are gonna be like, why the fuck did you even make this video? Why did you phrase this the way that you did? This was just like, I just feel like it might just be bad optics. But at the end of the day, these were my honest feelings, and I want you to know that like, I am thinking about things. I'm continuously thinking about things. I'm continuously learning and evolving, hopefully. And I want to let people know, especially those that followed me and defended me, to know that to be more open as well, and to check out the links that I'm going to share below. And hopefully some of the thoughts that I shared in this video kind of helped open your mind a little bit to thinking about different perspectives and stuff. And again, to my trans friends, trans fans, trans viewers, Black community, Black fans, everyone that just general fans, new fans, old fans, friends, family, like companies I've worked with, just everyone, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I know it sucks because there's so many things, and it even feels like I don't even know if I missed anything. I was just, and I know I still have tendencies, and I was just such an unhinged, like, toxic and dismissive, unempathetic, petty, angry, ignorant, just all of the worst things in the book. A lot of internalized behaviors, sexism, and just everything, dude, under the sun. And I can't imagine the magnitude of frustration and anger that everyone must have felt just witnessing all of my tweets and actions and drawings and everything. So I don't want to drag this video out as long as it already has dragged out, but yeah, I truly am sorry for everything. And of course, this isn't meant to be like some like pity party, like redemption arc or anything, but I just wanted to talk to you guys about my thoughts and just things that I thought were overdue. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to end something like this. It's already gotten pretty dark, which is why like the shadows are so intense right now. I'm sorry if it looks a little bit wild and greasy and everything, but if you've watched this far, an hour and a half, thank you so much. If you just skim through, I'll probably leave some timestamps below so you could just hit whatever it is you want to hit. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys on socials and maybe next post. I don't know if what I'm gonna do with this channel, if I'm gonna do anything, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys soon. I hope you guys are safe. Take care during these times. I know things are tough and it feels a little bit tone deaf to be making such a, I don't even know if this is like an appropriate video during these times, but I hope you guys are all taking care of yourselves and wearing your masks. And yeah, anyway, I'm dragging this out. I'm rambling, but yeah, I'll see you guys soon.